everybody, and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle and to my latest episode of New Music Weekly, the show where I give you guys the weekly prog news, some curated prog singles to listen to, and give you updates on the channel, what's happening here on Nathan on Shuffle. It's August 23rd, 2024, and diving right in, it's a pretty big day for new releases. There's a lot of new albums coming out that are garnering a lot of excitement and praise in the prog and metal community, perhaps. For me, there's three major releases that I want to mention here that were released today that I want to point your attention towards. One is Meer's Wheels Within Wheels, which I did a review of this week. It's out today on Charisma Records. Go check that one out. It's one of my favorite records of the year. I think it's brilliant, maybe a bit more pop-centered, but there's plenty of prog there as well. A lot of great vocal work and orchestration, some strings. It's just a beautiful work of art that I just have fallen in love with. I think it's a perfect album. Kingcrow's new album, Hopium, is out as well. I believe that's on Season of Mist. Fantastic progressive metal record that I'm going to be talking about this week, as well as John Anderson releasing a new album with the band Geeks called True. Some brilliant Yes-inspired music, some of the best John Anderson music in quite some time. A lot of people are really loving it. That's the most classic symphonic prog that's on this list, and if you love Yes in their heyday and throughout their career, I think this is a great collection of music that harkens back to various periods in Yes's history. I think it's a brilliant record, which I will also be talking about later this week. So check out those albums. There's other ones as well. Please let me know in the comments some of the standouts to you of what's being released today. And I'm sure there's a longer list I could get into, but I think those are some highlights. As for the prog singles of the week, firstly, I have Von Hertzen Brothers have a new track called Starlings. This is from an upcoming album called In Murmuration, which will be coming out on October 25th. I really loved their previous album, Red Alert in the Blue Forest. It actually was, I believe, my number 2 favorite record of the year it came out. So, fantastic record. They maybe aren't purely prog, capital P, but they definitely have prog influences in their sound, but have kind of a classic rock and hard rock edge as well, some folky elements, at least on Red Alert. This one feels like it's going to be a bit more of a poppier record, perhaps. Maybe poppy isn't the right way to put it, but a more catchy rock, more big anthems that have great sing-along choruses and things like that. They're really great at that. Great vocal harmonies, just a great group to check out if you haven't heard their music before. Definitely one worth your time. Devin Townsend has a new track called Power Nerd. Devin Townsend is well known in the progressive metal space, doing some extreme metal at times, but really he's a versatile artist. Think of him as kind of the Frank Zappa of the progressive metal world. His new album is expected to come out on October 25th, and this is a big track from it, very much a rock energy. He's said that this is album inspired by his childhood love of vintage rock, so you might hear little touchstones of progressiveness in his sound, but I think this one's more centered in that kind of classic vintage rock era, and this track is really fun. It has a funny video with his quirky sense of humor. So Power Nerd, the album is available to pre-order. It's going to be available in a variety of formats, as is typical: limited 2-CD Blu-ray art book, 2-CD digipack, LP, of course, with different color variants and all of that kind of stuff. Should be a fantastic release. I'm sure he's always has top quality material, and he's an artist I've always wanted to dive deeper into because he's so fascinating, even though I don't care for a lot of more of the extreme metal that he dabbles in, but I think he's just a wildly creative artist that has a lot on offer. So number 3, maybe a little bit off the beaten path, but I just love this track. I think it's one of my favorite singles of the year. This is Jordy Greep and the track Holy Holy. This is actually the front man of Black Midi, which recently announced that they're disbanding. So this solo album that seems to be coming soon, 4th of October, in fact, The New Sound is the name of the upcoming album, should be a really interesting indication of where Jordy is going to continue on, post Black Midi, and if this track is any indication, I think it's going to be fantastic. It just has a really cool, almost Latin style beat, has a bit of kind of a jazz rock aesthetic. He sings in a very crooner-esque tone, and it's just a wonderfully creative track that I think many of you will enjoy, and it makes me excited for his sound coming forward out of Black Midi. Where Black Midi were a bit more avant-garde, King Crimson-esque, had a lot of angular sounds and strange, quirky compositions. This, even though it has a bit of that element into it, is maybe a bit more accessible and fun in a lot of ways, which they delve into as Black Midi, but I think this is a really fun track and a good indication of some fun stuff ahead for these band members, even if they're not going to continue as Black Midi. I have a track from Chris Herron called The Darkest Hour on my list. This is the guitarist and keyboard player with US prog rockers Tiles. And he has a stellar cast of many people on this upcoming album. He's releasing his debut solo album, Hiding in Plain Sight, released through The Laser's Edge on November 1st. You could see a bunch of guests on this album like Alex Lifeson, Peter Frampton, the Crown Lands duo, Tim Bonus, Michael Sadler, Colin Edwin, Kim Mitchell of Max Webster fame, and the list goes on and on of all these really cool guests that are going to be part of this record. And this track is a good indication that it's going to be solid music. I feel like it's a great rock track. The vocals to me have a David Bowie tinge to them. And I just think it's a really solid track and a cool album to look forward to coming shortly, November 1st. So that's another one. Number 5 on my list is Pure Reason Revolution's new track, Betrayal. Their album, Coming Up to Consciousness, is coming out September 6th. This is their 6th studio album, following their post-hiatus works, Eupnia and Above Cirrus, which are both records I absolutely adore. I love this band. They have a psychedelic undertone. Sometimes they can delve little bit heavier in tone, but they have these really great dual male-female vocals that's really a trademark of their sound, and I'm super looking forward to their upcoming record, which I'll certainly be talking about on the channel and giving a review for, so I wanted to put that track in the mix. Then a couple bonus tracks here on my list. Cyan has a track, All Around the World, really beautiful prog music there. They're releasing a mini album called The Guardian, which features a 25-minute epic called The Guardians of Your Destiny, also this track, and then a instrumental track called Cyan. Really fantastic group, almost like a super group of sorts with some really notable people. This is helmed by Magenta's Rob Reed. We also have Peter Jones on vocals, who's fantastic. Luke Machin on guitars, and bassist Dan Nelson. And so this is kind of a follow-up or an addendum album to their previous one, Pictures from the Other Side, which is a recreation of Cyan from the past. This was a band that Rob Reed had back in the early 90s or something like that, and he's reviving it, redoing all these albums that he did as Cyan, but with a new lineup. And these are kind of the forgotten tracks that didn't end up on the Pictures record, making kind of a big statement of music if you combine this with Pictures from the Other Side. So Cyan's a great classic prog band. I think you guys will dig this if you're into the modern prog scene. I really wanted to bring attention to a track from Tomas Bodin of the Flower Kings. This is called Driven. This is the first single from his to-be-released The Master's Brew, releasing late September this year. Tomas Bodin, of course, is notable for being a member from the Flower Kings, and this is like a 10-minute instrumental track that just sounds a lot like vintage Flower Kings material. You could tell his influence and what he brought into the Flower Kings, which has been a little bit lacking and missing since his absence from the last few records, but a brilliant musician, and I believe this album is going to be all instrumental, but it should be really cool stuff to check out. So I'd recommend that from fans of that symphonic prog sound. If you like the Flower Kings, this should be right up your alley. And then finally, of course, I have to mention one of my favorite groups, of Big Big Train. They have a live track that just released called Love is the Light. This is from their upcoming live album, A Flare on the Lens, which comes out September 13th on CD, Blu-ray, and double vinyl as well. Just a remarkable band. They performed this when I saw them live on Cruise to the Edge, and it was just next level fantastic. I think their new frontman, Alberto, is just a fantastic person, fantastic lead man, and brings this track to beautiful life. I think it's a brilliant track, a beautiful ballad, and just showcases some of the more majestic, beautiful tendencies of Big Big Train, who are one of the premier UK prog acts that I think everyone should love and know if you're into modern progressive rock. So that's the singles list. I'm keeping the show a little bit short this week. I didn't see many quick hit items to bring to your attention, but if you're interested in these prog singles, I have them in the description below, links to their YouTube clips, also a link to a YouTube playlist that combines all these songs into one playlist. So it should be fun listening if you're willing to give it a go. That's kind of the format and idea here when I do these episodes, is to try to point your attention towards listening to these tracks and deciding for yourself what you like and what's coming up in the world of progressive rock. So hopefully you guys are doing that if you are so inclined. As for the channel itself, I really only had one video come out this week. That was Meer's Wheels Within Wheels album review, which, spoiler alert, is one of my favorite albums of the year, maybe my favorite so far. I think it's brilliant. I think they're one of the shining stars in the new progressive rock movement, and I just love their sound. I'm a total fanboy. I don't know if everyone else is giving as effusive of praise of it. I think it's getting really stellar, awesome reviews from all of my contemporaries. But I just, for some reason, it just connects with me in a deeper level that it's hard to even describe. But I love that album. I really urge everyone who likes the same music as me to check it out. It's a kind of a must listen if you're a Nathan on Shuffle fan. As for the upcoming this week, I'm hoping to get back into some videos with Jana. Unfortunately, I didn't have one last weekend, but we're workshopping some new ideas and doing some fresh things. And we're thinking of just making Sunday kind of the Jana's Corner and doing some fun Jana-themed episodes. Of course, we'll be doing more reactions, but maybe some top fives involving Jana, some other ideas that we're thinking of, some collaborative videos. So should be fun to see what comes ahead on that front. I have 2 reviews that I'm hoping to film and put out next week. That's Kingcrow's Hopium, and, of course, John Anderson and the band Geeks, True. 2 really great albums that were released today. Well worth your time and attention, and I'll be talking about them in a little bit more depth this upcoming week. And then I also plan to do a big vinyl haul. I haven't done one this year, so I want to showcase all the vinyl and perhaps CDs that I've picked up over the course of the year so far. It's going to be probably a pretty lengthy video. I'm hoping to rifle through the picks pretty quickly, but it's always fun to do because it helps me catalog the things that I've purchased over the last few months, but it also showcases my taste and what albums really speak to me that I feel are worth owning and adding to my collection, which I think informs you about my tastes and what I bring to the table here on this program. So I thank you guys once again, as always, for your support, for sticking around with my channel. It's been really great. I love to see people commenting and liking the videos, and it's just a really great community, and I'm so grateful. Thank you guys, and I hope you'll stick around for future episodes for next week's New Music Weekly, and that you'll check out some of these tracks that I've been talking about. So thank you guys so much, and I'll catch you guys in a future episode. Bye everybody, enjoy the music!